What's up, guys? Today we're going to be fixing the Sony Mavica. This is a Sony Mavica MVC-FD83. So the problem with this is that the battery has long since gone bad, but when you put an aftermarket battery in there, you get an error. Give it a second, it'll show up this error. We're going to fix that. This is caused by a small switch at the bottom of the battery compartment, and today we're going to go down, we're going to secure that so that this is no longer an issue. I've done this before by taking it apart, but I did a more temporary solution because I wasn't sure, and then eventually came undone. So today we're going to actually sit down and fix this. So probably most of this is going to be fast forward through, but there's a couple screws that we take out. Have a handy dandy screwdriver. The outer screws are Phillips head zeros, and there'll be, if you're looking from the back, there'll be 2 on the top, 3 on the left, 2 on the right, and then 3 on the bottom. So a little backstory on this camera is this was a gift to me from a friend, and there's pictures on it that they didn't think much of, but turns out were of family members. Some of them had passed away, so some of the last photos of those family members. It was really cool to me to be able to give that back to them. And so I found that very interesting. And the camera wasn't worth much, and it's really not really worth much, but it's kind of cool to be able to do something like that. And I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed learning more about it. It has a cool early 2000s look to it that I enjoyed. It's fun to do. And it's fun to have a camera that takes floppy disks. They're big and noisy, and it's just different. You want to be careful with this ribbon cable. That's a very delicate part, easy to break. So another tricky part, getting into the battery compartment. So inside there's going to be 5 screws you're going to need to take out. There'll be Phillips head 1 screws. So there's one on the left side that kind of holds the mechanism that holds the battery door down. There's one under that wire that I'm messing with. There's also one next to it, but eventually I'll have to take up that wire. And then there's another one at the top right you see me take off, and one about midway on that right side of it. It's kind of tricky, so you want to be careful. You don't want to accidentally damage anything. I'm picking it up, trying to get a good look. Here's me taking out that far right side one. There's also, yeah, there's me. I take out that screw and moving it that way. There's a little piece that holds the battery in that's loose, and that's kind of tricky to get back in and out. The metal part just, there's like a metal clip that I'm bending some that keeps it in. There's me taking out the one under the wire. That should be the last one, and I pop it out. There's a ribbon cable there that's kind of tricky. That is another ribbon cable that you need to look very closely at, or watch for very carefully. So saying that most of this is going to be fast forward. Also, I'm removing the painter's tape. There's a little bit of painter's tape that I had put on there to keep the button down. I'm also trying to figure out how to demonstrate and show the switch here, and so here it is. That right there is the little piece. That's the switch that gives you that error if you can push that down. So now we're going to work on securing that. All right, welcome back. We have a plan. Well, it's hot glue, so it's always fun. So let's see if I can demonstrate this. When you push that little gold thing, it comes up in the back, and I will demonstrate that. If you push it far enough, you see that little piece? Yeah. It's coming up. We are going to put a staple, part of a staple in there to keep it from falling down, and then hot glue that down. So there is my staple. There's my staple. Hold it down with some tweezers, and we will use hot glue, which is currently heating up. So that is the game plan. So we shall get started. guess ideally you could tape this down. Here, we're going to get a little closer. Here we go. Yep, that's not really ideal. Shoot. Might take a few tries. So this is my strategy. We'll also say there are 3D printed versions that, whoop, launch that one. Maybe we'll just do this by hand. There are 3D printed versions that people have made that just attach to all right, there it is in place. Now we're going to hot glue it. Get it on my hand. Should let that dry for a second. But as I said, there are 3D printed options as well that will, I'll try to clean this up a little bit. Maybe push it down a little bit more. That would go on an aftermarket battery. So quick sidebar. The aftermarket batteries are missing, they're like that, have a little cutout right there compared to a normal, this is a Sony battery, and that's not one, and that's a aftermarket one. So it has a little cutout right there. So people have made 3D printed options. Well, I do have a 3D printer. I decided this would be a little more permanent, so I'm not having to modify my battery and possibly losing a piece of plastic. But yeah, so how I've been checking this, refocus this, whether I see a click or anything. And I don't want to put that in there, so I'm gonna call that success. And the real test would be, it's pretty dry. Let's go ahead and unplug that. Move this out of the way. Okay, now we do the reverse of that. So we'll start by putting this ribbon cable back together. So here I'm putting it back together. The first part, trying to get that first ribbon cable in, which was a little tricky. You had to kind of feed it in there right and then get it pushed down. It took me a few tries to quite get that right. So then I was going to talk about or mention is just floppy disks get kind of weird to read now. You can buy a USB drive for them. I didn't want to try that because I've heard some issues with them. So I will end up buying a computer for like $10. It was supposedly broken, but as far as I can tell, it works fine. So here I'm trying to feed it back in, and you have that metal clip I had to get under, and then there's that little battery hold down I had to get up under there. It's kind of goes in the middle of that battery compartment, and it also has a spot that a hole has to go into on the main body board. So it's kind of interesting. Here is the battery compartment. It is your battery cover. It's kind of tricky. It took me a couple tries to get it in there. Not a good way to explain it. Just you'll have to see and figure it out for yourself. But moving in you have to like kind of maneuver in three-dimensional space to get it in there. See, I got it in, but then later I'm gonna have to screw it down, and that's a whole different thing, and I know a whole nother challenge. So yeah, largely it's doing the reverse, is putting it back together, just doing the reverse, but some of it was trial and error. I had to try a few times to get it down. So there it's kind of seated how it's supposed to be, but I didn't put the screw in there. Putting the screw into that back at the top one, and that far on the right side. And then I'm doing the one under the wire now, and then I'll do the one above the wire. And here's me trying to get that piece screwed in. So yeah, it kept popping out. So I'm trying to make sure that battery, the arm that holds the battery in place, is staying under it, as well as getting it to line up, everything kind of line up correctly, as well as there's a piece that goes on the bottom that screws from the outside, and try to make sure that all of those are lined up and in place correctly. This will be a little tricky. It goes on the outside of this, and that went between in the middle of that, really. It is that one back together. All right, now we shall do. In case you're wondering, that is just a floppy disk. This is a floppy disk camera. I'll have some demonstration photos at the end showing it complete, or as it's back together. It took a few tries. Getting it aligned quite right is kind of tricky in there, and it kind of keeps hiding. My hand kind of gets in the way. You can't exactly see it, but you kind of just line it up and push it on. That's it. Now it goes back together. So this is switching back to the Phillips head 0 to put the outside screws back in. It's again 2 on the top, 2 on the right, 3 on the left, and then 3 on the bottom. You kind of have to squeeze it at times to make sure the body comes together correctly, but it's basically the reverse of what I did at the beginning. Not too hard. I won't say that this will, I don't know for sure how long this will last. Hopefully this will last forever, but I no guarantees, and I'll make no guarantees about that. But this is my attempt to fix it in a hopefully more permanent way. Now the moment of truth. New non-Sony battery. Sure, 1999, January 1st. I know there's no disc, but can we see? Look, it's working. Let me go grab a disc real quick. All right, here we go. Put all right. Let's take a picture. There we go, now it's recording. Makes a lot of noise. Have it on fine, the ultra setting. But anyway, I was just wanting to demo that it works. So yeah, I hope this is helpful. I hope this helps you fix it if you have one. As I said, it's kind of fun. It's not super valuable. I have, it's kind of an interesting camera. But yeah, so thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed and find it helpful. Have a good day.